with folks. All right, just to recap, my name is Marika Goolsby. I am a former foster youth adoptee, and every day I'm online talking about foster care and adoption, live streaming as many places as possible, building a wildflower team to bust through concrete and make change. Wrote a book about my time in care called A Flower Called Orphan Girl. It is available just about everywhere books are sold. And today is Money and Politics Monday. And today we started out talking about there it is. We started out talking about Foster Youth Bill of Rights. And Foster Youth Bill of Rights is a set of legal protections ensuring children in foster care receive safe, respectful care, education, and health services. Sounds good. And originally established in California in 2001. So if this Bill of Rights is supposed to be providing this type of protection, my question always is, how does this play out in real time? Thank you so much for getting your daily heart me. Heart, share, tap, heart, share, tap. That's for the TikTok family. Heart, share, tap, heart, share, tap. How does this play out in real time? Because a couple of weeks ago, I don't know when, but in the past, we've talked about the Sibling Bill of Rights. And the Sibling Bill of Rights is a set of 10 guided principles developed by the New England Youth Coalition to protect and foster relationships between siblings in foster care or post-adoption. So we all know a lot of times siblings are not prioritized. Sibling relationships are not prioritized, especially when there's more than two. A lot of times it's, here to support my wife. She is, well, thank you for being here. Even if it's, you had to be convinced. So yeah, it's, so we already knew about Sibling Bill of Rights. Sibling Bill of Rights is because oftentimes when children are removed from the home, they are split up because maybe there's 5 kids and there's not one foster home that will be able to take all of them. So 1 goes here, 2 goes here, some go here, they get split up. But the problem with that is then, unless the plan is reunification and then they have, family visits on a weekly basis or monthly, however the frequency is decided on a frequent basis. Sometimes that doesn't happen either. It's like all of a sudden you just have no contact with your parents or siblings, and you just don't even know what's going on, which is very saddening and depressing for children in foster care. Trust me, I know. Ask me how I know. I lived it. In my personal experience, just to bring some humanity to it all, which is strange that that's so necessary. But anyway, in my own experience in care as a foster youth, when the plan was reunification, we had, I believe it was weekly visits. We had weekends, which I looked forward to and cherished. But then those weekend visits got turned into supervised visits, which was just a couple of hours in this small little concrete room with little plastic chairs, which at times it was often more comfortable just to sit on the floor, which was filthy. Ugh, horrible. But anyways, Then I believe once my adoptive parents decided they wanted to, well, foster parents at the time decided that they wanted to adopt, then weekend visits were cut. So no weekend visits, no more supervised visits, no visits, period. At that time, the foster parents, so I was in one foster home, my older brother and sister were in a different foster home. At that time, they had the option to connect with each other, to make play dates, so we could continue to see each other. So what really was legally cut was those visits with our mother. But because the foster parents either could not or would not communicate with each other, that also meant cutting communication with my siblings, which was very painful for me. Very painful for me. So it was just like, boom, no contact, that's it, that's all. End of story. And I wrote about this in my book, A Flower Called Orphan Girl, what that process was like and how I was affected and how I imagined they were affected too. So the Sibling Bill of Rights, as far as I know, is supposed to be a way of ensuring that, one, when children have to be removed from the home, that every effort is made to place them together. Now, people talk about if there's a sibling set of 6 or 7, that's impossible. But difficult and impossible are not the same word. So I understand that it's very difficult to place that many kids in one home. But I also know in some places, foster homes that say we're open to take sibling groups that are large should be reserved for that. And some places do that. So, in situations where siblings cannot be placed together, we've exhausted all, we've looked for a kinship placement, there are no relatives, we've looked for a fictive kinship placement, there are no community members, we've looked for a foster home that could take all siblings, that has not worked out. Now we have no choice but to split them up. If that is the case, each home should know you are obligated, I say obligated, to keep contact with each other to make sure that in-person visits, if that's impossible, video chat, telephone calls, picture exchange, something. So that is Sibling Bill of Rights. Now, this whole thing about Foster Youth Bill of Rights, I think is an attempt to make sure that foster youth, especially as they grow up and get older and age out, don't basically get dropped, crash, and burn. And it's like all these things are being put into place to kind of ensure better care. And like I always say, everybody's system involved gets lied to in one way or another. So systems involved meaning foster parents, adoptive parents, bio parents with children in the system, foster youth, and adoptees, social workers, CASA workers, case workers, case managers, everybody involved in the system, directly involved. Which is why, like I said, I started this rabbit hole with Sibling Bill of Rights, and then I just recently found Foster Youth Bill of Rights, And I'm like, wow, does everybody have a Bill of Rights? Everybody? Which then made me look into clinical social work Bill of Rights. And okay, core rights of clinical social workers: professional autonomy, safety and respect, confidentiality, fair compensation, professional development. So everybody needs it, right? I imagine you can put fill in the blank Bill of Rights and I guess something will come up. Let's see. Wow. So yeah, it is true. So with all these Bill of Rights for everybody in place, and in place that at one level or another, or different points in time. So birth parent Bill of Rights. Birth parents have fundamental legal rights in the adoption process, including the right to independent legal representation, to choose the adoptive family, and to select an open or closed adoption. These rights also allow birth parents to change their minds about adoption within legal time frames and ensure they are not coerced. So, I feel like this has nothing to do with foster care, and it's mostly talking about private adoption. Because in foster care, once a parent loses their parental rights, I imagine this is no longer pertaining to that person. We got a room last night, so I'm gonna take a shower and get ready for a day. You all have the best day ever. Thank you, Victoria. You have the best day ever too. I'll catch you. Okay, cool. Talk to you later. So yeah, birth parent Bill of Rights. I believe, let me see. Because I feel like once you lost your parental rights, it's like you are a birth parent, but my big pack. So ready for this. Enjoy it. I know that's right. I would. Okay, what I want to know is do birth parent Bill of Rights apply to birth parents that have lost their parental, I guess no. Isn't that what that means? Parental rights lost? No. Birth parents' rights and Bill of Rights protections generally do not apply once parental rights have been legally terminated or adoption is finalized. Wow. I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't. I don't know how I feel about that. Because they're basically saying, well, you're not a parent anymore. You're not a parent anymore, period. Once your legal rights have been stripped, you're no longer a parent. Legally. back to it. Let's get back to it. Okay, so far, here, let me make a list, because let's make a list. So far, we know of Sibling Bill of Rights. Now we know foster youth, which kind of includes a lot of the things, which has a sibling component to it. That's what I'm trying to say. And then what else? Oh yeah, and then there's a foster parent Bill of Rights. Foster parent Bill of Rights. And then there's a social worker. What is this? It's actually called Clinical Social Worker Bill of Rights. Clinical Social Work, not ER, Bill of Rights. And then birth parents. Birth parent Bill of Rights. So many Bill of Rights, but yet the system is still not better. Like you would think with all these legal protections, it would be better, but it doesn't seem to be. Foster Youth Bill of Rights. As of May 2026, legislative updates. Okay, that's what we need to hear. When did it begin, and what are the 2026 updates? And how often are they updated? It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing to me. It really is. Like, for real. All right. So, just to recap, Marika Goolsby. I'm a former foster youth and adoptee. I wrote my memoir about my time in care. Okay, it's not on screen for everybody. I wrote my memoir about my time in care, and I live stream on multiple platforms every single day talking about foster care and adoption, ways to improve the system, because the system does need to be improved. And I think in order to improve anything, you have to have a complete picture of it, and otherwise you're not going to know what the problems are and where to tackle it first. And I think the only way we're going to get a full picture of foster care and adoption is by listening to everyone that is systems involved. Everyone involved in the system, meaning foster parents, adoptive parents, bio parents with children in the system, former foster youth like me, adoptees like me, social workers, because so many social workers went to social work school, we'll say, got all the education they need because they really thought they were going to be able to make a difference in the lives of children and families. And then they get into the job, and a year into it are like, what the heck? This is an impossible job. I have way too many cases. There's unrealistic expectations. I'm not being able to really help children and families like I thought because of all the bureaucracy and the red tape. and they either conform to cutting corners or just trying to get by, or they quit. So social workers, and then who else? Well, however they call it in your area, social workers, case workers, CASA worker is a volunteer position, which as far as I know, helps with legal aspects of it. Let me look up for a good definition. A court-appointed special advocate is a CASA worker. Is a trained volunteer appointed by a judge to advocate for the best interest of abused or neglected children in the foster care system. So depending on where you are, you may or may not have a CASA worker assigned. And I bet that maybe they have a Bill of Rights too. Let's see. I mean, when you hear Bill of Rights, it sounds good. No. No. So there is no CASA workers Bill of Rights, I guess because it's a volunteer position. But all these other ones that are not volunteer positions, well, actually, I take that back because foster parenting is supposed to be a volunteer position. It's not a paid job. And sadly, too many people don't realize that. Foster parenting is not a paid job. It is a volunteer position that comes with a stipend to take care of the child. It's basically a child support payment designed to take care of a child. But sadly, too many people think it's their paycheck and feel entitled to it, and yeah. All right, all these Bill of Rights are doing what for who? I got questions. I think we can be talking about this for the next couple of Mondays. So far, we have Sibling Bill of Rights, Foster Youth Bill of Rights, Foster Parent Bill of Rights, Clinical Social Worker Bill of Rights, Birth Parent Bill of Rights. What is it doing in real life? Is it having an effect in real life? If you are a social worker, foster parent, I really want to hear from you. How is this playing out in real life? And if you are a former foster youth, or a current foster youth, no, former foster youth, not current. How have you been able to use the Sibling Bill of Rights or Foster Youth Bill of Rights in your real life? How do you see it playing out? How do you feel it? How does it affect your day-to-day living, if at all? These are the questions I have. All right, welcome in. If you are just now joining the live stream, we are talking about Bill of Rights. When I started out, I was just looking at Foster Youth Bill of Rights, and it kind of just led me down this rabbit hole of who else has Bill of Rights? And what is the point? Okay, this is interesting because I always think we need federal mandates over foster care and adoption. And everybody seems to have their own set of Bill of Rights. But then, I'm all about doing a quick internet search and then following up with additional research after I find something. That's kind of my way of educating myself and then having these conversations with you. All right. What is the point of Bill of Rights? Here we go. The Bill of Rights, comprising of the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1791, was created to limit the power of federal government and protect individual liberties. It ensures fundamental rights such as freedom of speech, religion, and due process, addressing anti-federalist concerns regarding potential government tyranny. So, the Bill of Rights. Hold on. Thank you for coming on this rabbit hole, down this rabbit hole with me. Same thing. So yeah, this is really interesting to me, because when I think of Bill of Rights, it's supposed to be something you can use if you feel your rights are being violated. You can say, wait, I have rights. You're violating my rights. That's my understanding. And as far as foster care and adoption, we have 5 different Bill of Rights. And maybe it's impossible to have one set of Bill of Rights that kind of encompasses everyone. So we need separate categories, like siblings, foster youth, which covers all foster youth if they have siblings or not, foster parents, social workers, and birth parents. I guess that makes sense, because maybe each category has a different need. Hey Aries 4242, welcome in. We're just having a conversation about Bill of Rights and how almost everybody has a set of Bill of Rights. Oh no, that was an accident.
Hello.
No. It was a mistake. Bye-bye. Oh no, how do I? Okay, no. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Request.
No, goodbye.
Request. Brandon.
Oh my God.
One match.
No, thank you.
One match, lost.
Oh, that took a while. That took a while for me to, well, anywho, at least now I know how to do it if it happens again. So yeah, we're talking about Bill of Rights. I started this rabbit hole exploration talking about sibling Bill of Rights, then that led me to foster youth Bill of Rights, which led me to foster parent Bill of Rights, which then led me to clinical social worker Bill of Rights, then birth parent Bill of Rights. Everybody has it. A lot of system involved folks have a Bill of Rights, but how does this play out in real life? That is the question. This is what I'll be exploring further. Yeah. To protect individual liberty. So you can say, you are violating my rights. I have siblings. I have a right to see them. Yeah, I didn't realize there were so many either, but here we are. You know, you at least me, I look into something and then I'm like, you know, if it makes sense for siblings, maybe it makes sense for all foster youth. If it makes sense for foster youth, of course, foster parents. And since everybody in the system is lied to in one way or another, makes sense for social workers. I looked into CASA workers, they don't have any because it's a volunteer position. It's not a paid job. which is interesting to me because foster parenting is not a paid job either, even though a lot of people think it is. Foster parenting is a volunteer position that comes with a stipend or child support payment to take care of the child. And you have to wonder, how are so many people getting that wrong? Is it because they're just allowed to think that? Is it because language that's used? Don't worry, you will get paid. Don't worry, you'll get paid. The check will start next month. So is that's why so many people go into it thinking they're going to be getting paid, and then, so many months into it, they're like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. It's like, no, you're not getting paid at all. No, you're not getting paid enough, because you're not getting paid at all. So I really do appreciate it when some foster parents come into my live stream and say, I use all of the money on the kid, and what is not used on the kid, I put into a trust, or I put into a savings account. So when they move on to the next home, or if they stay with me until they age out, or until they reunite, they're not leaving empty-handed. To me, that is a beautiful thing, but it's not mandatory. Most, maybe I can't say most. I'll have to take a poll to find out if most foster parents just operate in a way that says, no, we use it all for the kid. If that's true or not. We use all of it for the kid. Yeah, lots of movie and shows say they pay you. Some might just think it's a real thing. Yeah. It's not payment. It's not payment. And it's easy for people to lose sight of that and to think, like, how much am I getting paid? And then there's people that deliberately, come up with fake receipts to say, we spent all the money on the kid when they really didn't. That's what I lived with. Foster parents trading receipts, borrowing each other's receipts for whatever meeting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that happened because actual receipts weren't kept, Xerox copies were kept. So I imagine if, like, everybody has their own worker, if social workers compared receipts, like, wow, that looks like the exact same clothing receipt I just got from my foster parent, the foster parent I'm working with. That should be illegal. And that's sad and just wrong. Yes, it is. That should be illegal, and that is sad and just wrong. Let me see if we got any comments happening in the other spaces. But yeah, that's definitely what I lived through. No, not yet. Is foster parents sharing receipts. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. That's sad and just wrong to me. Did not need to be filtered. But hey, TikTok is pretty sensitive. So yeah, let's check the stats. 3.3K taps, super low. 482 shares. That's pretty good. And 2 viewers. So welcome in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. For anybody who's going to be watching the replay, please do comment. What are your thoughts, your feelings about all these various Bill of Rights that are supposed to be providing all this protection? Are they? Or does it just look good on paper? We had a viewer comment in the comments earlier that it's just something that is on paper. So there's like what's in written form and what de facto, and let me see. Taking me back to school. Oh, thank you for the 10 TikToks. Appreciate you. All right, let's see. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. De facto versus de jure. So de facto is from fact, describes how things work in reality. De jure describes how things are supposed to work according to the law, meaning just on paper. So let's write this. De facto in reality. De jure meaning on paper, how it's supposed to be. Now, when you think Sibling Bill of Rights, Foster Youth Bill of Rights, Foster Parent Bill of Rights, Clinical Social Work Bill of Rights, Birth Parents Bill of Rights, how is that playing out in reality? That's what I want to know, versus just something on paper that somebody could use possibly in a desperate situation. That's the question. Because I think what I'm feeling right now is that just because something is on paper, de jure, doesn't 100% guarantee de facto in reality. It just doesn't guarantee, because Sibling Bill of Rights, there's no, I hate to say it this way, no consequence of not following through. If I'm a foster parent and I have 2 siblings, and I know there's another foster home with 3 of their siblings, there's nothing that says if you don't reach out to them and arrange in-person visits or video visits or phone calls or play dates or holiday visits, it's at my discretion and my convenience. So even though there's a Sibling Bill of Rights, it's not it feels like anyway, it's not an enforceable law. It's not like do it or we'll move the children, do it or your license will be at risk or anything. Aries said facts. There are still old laws in effect, but no one follows them or enforce them. Like some of them I get, like it used to be illegal to spit in public. Like everybody spits in public. In some places that's still like a law. But when it comes to like these various Bill of Rights that are supposed to make foster care better, it's supposed to make it actually do what we envision when we think of it, like improves the lives of children and families. I don't know. I just feel like that is not something that should be taken lightly or ignored. And I'm not saying everybody. There are some that don't take it lightly, that don't ignore it. Yeah, it's illegal to spit on sidewalks where women walk is another. Right. That's not being enforced anywhere, I don't think. I think the last time this came up in the news was when a cop was basically racial profiling and wanted a reason to harass somebody, and then said that was the thing. People were like, what? Are you serious? And that's kind of how I'm starting to feel about these Bill of Rights. Like it exists on paper, but probably never comes up unless someone is desperate enough to be like, you're violating my rights in this way. I'm a foster parent and you're violating my rights. Or, which is good to have it there in case you need it, but I think it should be used as a preventative, not as a knee-jerk reaction when things go bad. It should be used as a preventative. especially when it comes to sibling bill of rights. I should not have to be like, this person is not letting me see my siblings and I have rights, so I'm going to sue, or attempt to do something to force their hand. It should be because we have this. This is why I see my siblings on a regular basis, and we, even though we're not under the same roof, we feel like we are because we have that much contact. They use it as a loophole. Ooh, say more, Aries. Say more. Yeah. Let me look at our stats real quick. We have been live literally for 53 minutes. We have had 42 viewers. This is the TikTok stats only. We have 0 new followers, 3 gifters. This live has made a whole nickel. And we have 5K taps, 495 shares. So as long as the taps and shares are going up in the right direction, we're in good shape. Today's live did get started later than usual. I usually like to start sometime between 6 and 6:30. Today we actually started closer to 7. But I do like to believe late is better than never. So here we are talking about money and politics Monday. And today we're talking Bill of Rights. Everybody got it. Okay, not everybody. I started to say everybody that's getting paid, but I keep having to then follow that up with foster parents do not get paid. Foster parenting is let me say it in all directions. Foster parenting is a volunteer position. Foster parenting is a volunteer position. It's not a paid job. It is not a paid job, which is interesting when you see advertisements on on Indeed. Why are you advertising on Indeed if foster parenting is a volunteer position? Let me answer my own question. Because a volunteer job is still a job. All right. Writing that down. My godmother was a foster parent, and she used to always say what you were saying. That's good then. If she fully understood that foster parenting was a volunteer position, not a paycheck involved. This is a volunteer position where you are getting a child support payment, meaning the money coming to your house is supposed to be to take care of the child. Bravo on her. Just taking some quick notes. So for the folks that don't know, I do go live twice a day, every day except Sunday. Sundays are Storytime Sundays, where we have one person from the community share their story for like 20 minutes, just a small portion of their story, not their whole life, a small portion of their story, and be available for Q&A. That's what happens on Sundays. So Monday through Thursday, we talk about difficult topics or very serious topics. Friday is Fun Friday, where we just play games, have some fun. Saturday is more of a support vibe, where we're talking about what's on your mind, what's on your heart. So yeah, that's the whole lineup for the week. And I hope you enjoy this live stream and come back as often as you can. Like I said, we're live twice a day, 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. Although I think this week is going to be 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. It all depends on what's going on during my work day. So I'm going to try to just stick with 4 p.m. for the week. And maybe just permanently change it to 4 p.m. That way I have like time in the middle to do life. I mean, this is life too, but my errands and day-to-day life, right? Okay, so we agree that a volunteer job is still a job. It's not a paid job, but it's still a job. So I'm not saying being a foster parent is not a job and it's not work, but it's not a paid job in the traditional sense, period. So with that said, I guess that's why there is a foster parent bill of rights. So basically everything that's a job has a bill of rights. Hey, SC adoptee, how you doing? Welcome in. So today is Money in Politics Monday. Today we're talking about all the various Bill of Rights that exist out there that is supposed to be in place to protect everybody that's system involved, apparently. I started out looking into sibling Bill of Rights because I grew up without my siblings and continue to feel robbed. Sadness, depression, low-grade depression that's always there about it. Dang, third shift. Okay. So yeah, I started out looking into sibling Bill of Rights. Who has it? Who doesn't have it? And really thinking like, wow, it's so different state to state. We need federal protection for siblings because depending on where you live, who your social worker is, you may or may not, depending on who your foster parents are, you may or may not have contact with your siblings. This former foster youth and adoptee does not think that is cool. It's actually traumatic. It's actually a traumatic experience to be ripped away from your family completely and told, well, just have this. This is good. This is your family now. Like, what? I just met these people. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. You'll adjust. It's like, so I started out looking into sibling Bill of Rights because that was the thing on the forefront of my mind, sibling Bill of Rights. Because as a 52, oh gosh, I'm in next year already. As a 51-year-old woman that grew up in foster care and was adopted, completely disconnected from all bio family, who missed and wanted to see her siblings, it was heartbreaking. So that's where I started. But then I found foster youth Bill of Rights. Okay, some foster youth are single children, right? No siblings. So that makes sense. And then foster parent Bill of Rights, because I've heard from foster parents saying the kids got dropped off and then I haven't heard from the social worker in months. I'm not getting a response to my questions. And this is recent. So if the foster parent Bill of Rights says you have a right to information, to be supported, to have training, like, why are people still being left in the lurch? Not really sure our adoption was by a private lawyer, and that's a whole new. So private lawyer, I feel like that's when you would look into birth parent Bill of Rights. So what I've read about birth parent Bill of Rights is that it seems to apply mostly to private adoption. Because in foster care, usually by the time, well, all the time when adoption happens, birth parents have lost parental rights. And once you lose parental rights, you are no longer protected or underneath birth parent Bill of Rights. Let me just look that up again. All right, so let's see. Where'd it go? All right, here we go. It says thinking. Okay, so birth parent Bill of Rights say the right to ethical, non-coercive counseling, the selection of adoptive parents, and the choice between open or closed adoption. This is pertaining to private I'm not sure if he is still alive, but I've looked into it. I'm working in the same town all this sea went down in. Okay. So you're looking in, hold on. Not really sure. Our adoption was part. Oh, so you're trying to see if the lawyer that handled your adoption is still alive. Is that right? That brings out another question, because even if he isn't, your information should still exist somewhere. Who took over his practice, or did it just close? And if it did just close, what happened to all of those records? Those are the questions I will be asking. Because just because the attorney may no may no longer be with us, what happens to his records? What happens to his case files? Yes, a lot. I don't think he's still here, but yes. Right. What happened to all that information? Was it just, shredded? Let's see. Yeah, that's what I would want to know. But yeah, today's live did start late, but I will be back on at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pacific Standard Time. Very important to say that part, because I have missed so many meetings as of late due to time zone confusion. If it's closed, it might be lost, so you might have to go to a hospital. They keep records. Really? Let me see. Because I don't know about that. Anytime you start researching something, it's like you're pulling the end of the ball of the arm, and it's just going to unravel, right? Hey, Mary, welcome in. Today is Money in Politics Monday, and we are exploring all these various Bill of Rights and all the protections they are supposed to be providing. Are they providing these protections or not? Is it de facto or de jure? De facto meaning in reality, de jure meaning just on paper. Depends on what state you're in, what county you're in, what social worker you've been assigned. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So yeah, we're going to continue this conversation. Let's see. Hour and 7 minutes. All right, we've been on an hour and 7 minutes. We're going to be ending soon, probably within the next 20 minutes. But I do feel like this is a good starting point as far as starting the conversation. Just starting to talk about these Bill of Rights. What are they doing for anybody's lives? I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody, maybe a lot. Maybe there's a lot of social workers really leaning heavily into it to make sure sibling Bill of Rights is not being violated. Foster youth Bill of Rights not being violated. Foster parents are being well supported and trained and prepared, and so their rights are not being violated, as well as their own social work Bill of Rights. These are the, you ask one question, leads you to another 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 question. I think this is why I like research. I really do. I'm like a researcher at heart. Like, well, if that's true, what does that mean about this other thing? Well, if that's true, what does that mean about this other thing? If that's not true, what does that mean about questions? Questions. So if you enjoy this type of conversation, to me, it's always a brainstorm, a think tank. Come back as often as you can. Orphan Girl 75 on all platforms. Orphan Girl 75. Check out my memoir, A Flower Called Orphan Girl. It is available wherever, almost wherever books are sold. And get a copy, because the only way to really learn about the system and make real positive change, thank you for tapping the screen, I appreciate that, is by listening to folks who lived through it. Listen to those of us that have lived experience. I'm a former foster youth and an adoptee. I lived through it. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm still living through it. I'm still surviving it. And that's a whole nother topic. Are you a survivor, or are you still surviving? If you are currently in survival mode. Oh, good night, South Carolina adoptee. If you are currently in survival mode, can you say that you are a survivor? Maybe this is just about semantics, and this is a whole different rabbit hole that I be on. I'm gonna write it down just the same. How do you know? I ask myself this question all the time. How do you know you are a survivor? If I am currently in survival mode, am I a survivor? Aries 4242 said no. Right, because usually if there's imminent danger, once you do all the things, you hide, you run, you hide, you fight back, you hide. But once you're out of harm's way, then you're a survivor. Isn't that kind of how it goes? You have to be at peace. And I feel like when it comes to emotional harm, you can have moments of peace, and then something happens and you're triggered and you're like, so you're an on and off survivor. You're an on and off survivor. Maybe I have been an on and off survivor, because there have been moments of where I feel like I'm not doing well. Am I no longer a survivor? Was I ever? You know, it's like if you get a physical injury and you put the bandage on and it's healing, you feel like you see improvement, it's getting better, but it's not 100% healed, but it's functional. You know, it's no longer leaking out all over the place. It's no longer tender to the touch. You know, it's getting there. Something happens, rip the whole bandage off. The whole thing is back to, not 100% back to when it first got injured, but ow, it hurts again. It's leaking again. I have to... I don't know. Yeah, that's a whole different life. But today we're talking Sibling Bill of Rights, Foster Youth Bill of Rights, Foster Parent Bill of Rights, Clinical Social Work Bill of Rights, Birth Parent Bill of Rights. Is there anybody I'm forgetting? I think it seems like everybody that is system involved has a Bill of Rights. Just about. I think that's pretty interesting. It's not even really clear, is it? It's okay to be prepared for what is. It's okay to be prepared for what is that trigger you, but once you have been one with it, you are a survivor. Once you are one with it, So I guess in my analogy of the physical injury, if I'm injured and it heals, it may never be quite the same, and it may be more susceptible to injury, but it actually is healed. It is healed. It's as healed as it's going to get. I just know I have to be a little bit more protective of it, because if I hit it, it's more susceptible to a break or a tear or something. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like I actually, my arm is healed, but it is a little bit more fragile than the other one that has never been injured. But where and when does those Bill of Rights come from? Because in past, kids and women didn't really, as healed as it's going to get feels reasonable. Yeah. Maybe that's the same thing with foster care and adoption. But these Bill of Rights are I think put forth by basically taxpayers. Let's see. All right, let's see. The Sibling Bill of Rights was created by youth in foster care, advocacy groups, and state officials to combat the separation of siblings in the child welfare system. Now, first listed was youth in care. So, are they always created by the group that is affected? Let's see. The Foster Youth Bill of Rights was created primarily through the advocacy of youth in care. There it is again. And established through state legislation to ensure safety, respect, and services for children in foster care. Okay. What about foster parents? Foster parents' Bill of Rights were created through state-level legislative action, largely driven by advocacy from organizations like the National Foster Parent Association to address the need for support. So I'm guessing the National Foster Parent Association is made up of foster parents. Good morning, Rachel. Oh, thanks. Not always. Someone can see something wrong and try to make a change. Yeah. Okay, so you're saying not always the effective group has to be the one leading the charge. That's what I'm hearing. And then we have clinical social work. Okay, the Clinical Social Work Bill of Rights was created by the American Board of Clinical Social Work to advocate for and protect the interests of clinical social workers at all professional levels. So basically, I think to ensure people will want to continue coming into the field, doing the work. Let me see. Have you seen the CT Child Advocate that was calling out DC F due to a child self-harm tragedy. I have not. I have not. If there's a link you can send me or a video you can tag me in, please do. I will check that out. All right, now what else? Oh, birth parent. Was that created by birth parents? The Birth Parent Bill of Rights, specifically in the context of adoption, was created by child welfare organizations like Spence, Chapin, and adoption professionals. To outline the ethical and legal rights of expectant parents considering adoption. Oh, okay. So I think this is very important to talk about, like, where do these bills come from? Do they do what they're supposed to as far as protect who they're supposed to protect? How are they being played out in real life? These are the questions that I always have. I always have questions after questions after questions. A very curious and inquisitive person. All right. All right, we literally have 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Let me see. Wow. So yeah, this is a lot of information to kind of let sink in, seep in, soak in. You know what I'm saying. There's a lot of Bill of Rights. There's a lot of questions. And then how do we get these questions answered? Who do we need to talk to? Because you can have questions, but if you don't know who to ask, then are you going to get good answers? Are you going to get a lot of guesswork? Yeah. It's very important to ask the right questions to the right folks. Some work, but some use it for harm. So I guess it depends on the mind state of the person's desire. Can Bill of Rights be used for harm? I don't know. Say more, please. Some work, but some use it for harm. Okay, so some Bill of Rights do work, but some use it for harm. I'm writing that down. All right. So that's something to look into as well. So hopefully, maybe I'll have an answer to some of this stuff today. I'm back. Hey, Victoria, welcome back. Maybe I'll have an answer to some of this stuff when we go live at 4. Yeah. But yeah, I do want to continue the conversation later on today. If you are able to join at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that would be awesome. So we can continue the conversation on all these various Bill of Rights. What are they doing? What are they supposed to be doing? Versus what are they actually doing? That's that de facto, de jure. De facto meaning in reality, de jure meaning just on paper. On paper, it could look 100% fantastic. Like, oh, wow, this is great. Everything's going to work swimmingly for everyone involved. But then, de facto, excuse me, what is the fact of the matter? Is it really doing what it says it's supposed to be doing on paper? Or is it doing more? Or is it doing less? Depending on where you live, what county you're in, who's your worker, You could be experiencing sibling Bill of Rights, foster youth Bill of Rights, foster parent Bill of Rights, clinical social work Bill of Rights, birth parent Bill of Rights, all very differently. I'm pretty sure there are some people that aren't, that if you ask them, they feel like they're not experiencing it all. All right, so I'll make time for one panelist. Let me check your stats. All right, Victoria has 10 comments, 300 shares, 1.5K taps. That is high quality. So that's the other thing. If you are a high engager, if you are invested in this space, I do want to hear from you. You are on the Wildflower team, and I do want to hear from you. All right, so Victoria, let me hear your intro, meaning your name, age, pronouns. How are you connected to this community? And what are your thoughts and feelings about all these different Bill of Rights? You have 10 minutes on the clock.
My name is Victoria. I'm 44. I am her, she.
I'm like, okay.
I guess I could be a man sometime.
Hey, if you want to.
Matt, I'm going to be a man today. I'm just kidding. He said I was a man.
I heard.
I heard.
Ooh, okay.
We have a lavender relationship. No, I'm just kidding.
If it works, it works.
The Bill of Rights, when you talk about the Bill of Rights, is it for the agency or the in particular people?
It's supposed to be for that particular group of people. So sibling Bill of Rights is for the siblings. Having a right to see each other, have a relationship, have a connection. Yeah, have contact.
I'm looking into the different rights right now. I'm trying not to, with my own situation I got going on, I'm trying not to push it because I don't want them just to throw my son in the street before my restraining order gets up. So I'm on a thin line with this, and I'm still investigating it. But my thing that I have a problem with is, I just want you to know this hotel breakfast came up from the last time I was in a hotel.
Nice. Congrats. Enjoy it.
It has bacon, eggs, sausage, yogurt. You can make your own yogurt bowl.
Okay.
But my thing is the rights for the kids, because everybody has rights, like you said. The agency has rights. The foster parents have rights. The kids even have rights, their own rights. And what I'm dealing with is Saturday, I told you guys, was really rough for me. So part of that roughness is I feel like my son's rights are being violated. And there's no one speaking up for him. And I'm speaking up for him, but I'm kind of in my little situation right now. So I can't have a great day, Aries.
Yeah, have a great day, Aries.
I couldn't, what was I saying?
You don't want to push it. You see it's all bad, but you're like, I'm just so close to getting him out of it.
They got the discovery back on last week, and Saturday the doctor read me with the discoveries and stuff where when it came to my son, the detective turned his body cam off. Ooh. So there's no body cam available when it comes to my son. There's body cam for all of us, but when they walked in to talk to my child, the officer decided to turn it off. Now, I just found that out on Saturday, so I'm going to look very closely into that because what the officer is stating is that my son told them that I went to a van, grabbed him by the waist, and snatched him over my shoulder and drug him to my car. That's where the kidnapping comes in. Remember, we all been like, where's this kidnapping coming in? Where's this kidnapping coming in? Why do I have these kidnapping charges? So those are the allegations that my son is putting on me. But since I found my child, and they got all their stuff, these are all new people because they went from LA to Riverside. So all these are new investigations, new investigators, new whatever, new everything. They went and talked to my child. My child's been telling him, I told you what I've been hearing. He wants to come home. I've never kidnapped him. Blah, 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 blah. They have that on record. They have all that on. So my theory on that is my son's 19. Why is he still sitting in a locked facility if he's asking to go home? Where's his rights at? Where's his Bill of Rights? Where's whatever? And again, the only reason why I'm not really pushing this and like trying to move forward is because if they're like, oh crap, the mom knows about this and the mom is gonna, they know I'm suing. They know they got a copy of me suing them, so they know that I'm taking this all the way till no other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I don't want them to be like, oh, you're right, we are doing this, throw them out, get rid of them.
Right.
So I'm kind of in a situation.
Wow. Yeah, because I just wrote down, Bill of Rights for Adults in Mental Facilities, ? Because with me researching all these Bill of Rights, there's Sibling Bill of Rights, Foster Youth Bill of Rights. Technically, your son's not a youth, right?
Well, I'm still in juvenile court for him. And that's the other thing that I'm kind of like questioning, because in LA, they aged him out, remember? And I couldn't find him for 2 years. So I was like, where's my son at? And what happened was Saturday I found out that whoever had him prior to coming to Riverside, they just dropped him off at the DCFS CPS office and walked away from him. So when they seen Isaiah in the lobby of Riverside, they were just like, who's this kid type of deal. Isaiah started screaming. And of course, he had an episode. I mean, you dropped him off somewhere he's not supposed to go, And that's the thing that I have a problem with also, is that they're going off of his behavior, but they're not doing anything to prevent the behavior.
But they basically endangered him.
Yeah.
Anybody could have showed up and picked him up and convinced him of whatever.
Yeah, even me.
Wow. And
so after they charged me with kidnapping, they closed my case in LA and then came to Riverside and dropped my baby off. And so the agency here in Riverside didn't know who I was, didn't know that Isaiah's family. They just were trying to build it. So when I called, after them having him for 1.5 to 2 years, they were like, we don't have, the lady straight told, I have this on email. The lady said, Victoria, if you didn't have this restraining order, you can come get him. We do not have a heart to let him go because of his mental status. And we're trying to get guardianship over him. But that's a whole different thing for the state of California, is to grab guardianship over a strange, adult. So they're having trouble getting that approved right now. So my son is just like up in limbo. But if my son was really comprehending what was going on, he can literally wake up if any of his people gave him a little knowledge about his rights, he could wake up one day and be like, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. And they have to let him go. Right now, when he says that, they're like, no, go to your room. And he just thinks he's a juvenile.
He's like, okay, right.
Yeah. The Bill of Rights is really big for me right now, and I'm trying to figure that out as well.
Yes.
I'm trying not to figure it out to the point where they discharge my son, but you're right. There has to be something.
Because it's on paper, it looks good, it sounds really good, but how does it play out in real life? That's the real question.
That's the thing that the system has really bad of, is that they literally will put everything on paper to make it an IEP, even an IEP. Everything they'll put on paper to make it look professionally
really nice.
well.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what you taught me, putting it into action, they don't follow up or do that. So what happens is that these families and these kids are going without, and from the time that they are being audited to whatever, and not being followed up, these things aren't being followed up or anything, And then when it comes back to the review, they're like, oh, they try to switch. They're narcissists. The system is a narcissist. They'll switch it and be like, um, well, instead of like admitting they had short staff or admitting that they neglected the whatever, they'll switch it on the other party to make them not look good.
Wow, I had
And
to write that
my
down.
main thing is they'll be like, oh, the social worker went on vacation for 2 weeks, so that went, you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. But if it was flipped, it wouldn't.
Yeah, it wouldn't go
It
over.
wouldn't be like I have 35 seconds, and I'll make an example of Saturday. Saturday's appointment was a remake appointment for 3 appointments that this doctor rescheduled on me, not me rescheduled on him. I sat there and waited for him 3 different times, and he never, he just, no call, no show, and I had to call him to remind him about the appointments. So it got to the point where he's like, I have to be at the jail on Saturday. I have to be there, so meet me there. Well, guess what, Marika? I had a 3-hour interview at the jail, outside the jail, so everybody can hear my business.
Oh, no.
I had 2 people. The reason why I'm in a motel right now is because I had 2 people misunderstand my conversation with this doctor, and he thought that the doctor was a detective, and I was snitching on the state. Yeah, and the state are some random people, and so he was getting and so he kept coming to my car like, "You're a snitch, you're a snitch, you're a snitch." No,
oh my God, who are you?
My car.
Yes.
So yeah, like, but if that was switched, Marika,
right,
I would be in jail for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they just systems
Avoiding your appointment.
They want, but yeah.
Wow.
And crazy.
It is. It is.
But I'm safe.
Yeah, good.
I'm not leaving the state until I get my son in my backseat.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. You are this close to the finish line. So close.
Yeah.
We are all rooting for you.
Thank you. You guys are the best day ever.
Thank you. You do the same. Talk to you later. All right, that was Wildflower Victoria chiming in on the Bill of Rights. How is it good? Only good on paper? Is it actually being put to real life situations or not? Like, oof. So yes, my name is Marika Goolsby. I'm a former foster youth and adoptee. We're going to continue this conversation at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I wrote my memoir about my time in care. Purchase your copy. Purchase a copy for your book club. Purchase a copy for a friend. If you're a social worker, make sure your entire department has a copy. Each person in your department has a copy. I'm more than willing and able to speak with you all. I'm open for conversations, trainings, workshops, all that good stuff. Because you really need to be getting information from folks who lived through it, who survived it. Some days are still surviving it. So yeah, I think this is the end. This is where this live stream ends. I'm going to play our exit song for those that want to stick around for it. I know the folks on this camera won't be able to, just because of how not privacy, but copyright issues. Yeah. All right. So for now, live your wild and wonderful life because you deserve it. You deserve it. Come back 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll continue the conversation.